Hi, everybody. Welcome to week 3 of GE 822 Historical Trends in Higher Education. I apologize if you have noise in the background. I have construction going on in my house, so it is what it is. Couple of things this week. First of all, we're diving into the textbook. It's a fairly short reading, but it gives us the historical context of colonial America and, a new land, a new set of rules, a new philosophy, new expectations, yet in many ways, the same old higher education. Um, there are a lot of contrasts and parallels that can be made between the way higher education was founded, the way the students who chose to enroll, the number of students of a percent basis from society, how the schools originated, how they were funded, how they functioned, what their purpose was. Um, and so because of that, I changed the thought question. There was like, I don't know. I tend to change things as I go along. So if you look at the week 3 thought question, what I want you to do is I want you to, as you're reading this section, I want you to kind of hone in on one of the institutions. There's really only a handful of them that are discussed in the reading. And I want you to just kind of take a long view of it and say, here's how this college started. Here's what its purpose was. Here's what its function was. Here's who operated it. Here's what students attended it. Here's what could be expected upon graduation. Then take that exact same college or university and look at them today and ask yourself, what's changed? And kind of draw a comparison between them today and them the way that they were then. And then I want you to maybe do a little conjecture and kind of say what you think has contributed to that growth or development or change in that university from its original purpose until now. Okay. So just choose one of the colleges or universities that's in there, and I'd like you to do that. Your questions, right? In week 3, you're supposed to be coming up with your questions. If you remember, if you watched my introductory interview, I wasn't super stoked about another interview assignment because a few of the courses have the interview assignment. But again, when you craft these questions, I want you to think of it in terms of the historical trends that we're in right now. In other words, when your grandchildren are studying the historical trends in higher education, what are they going to call this era? What are they going to call, the 1980s to the 2000s or the 2000s to the 2020s? What are the themes? You could take a narrow lens at it and you could look just particularly at COVID, right? Because COVID does have a historical impact on the way that we operate, especially when you look at the way that the modalities with which education is delivered. But you could also take a step back and look at it from a longer view, because the things that are happening right now because of COVID are not new. They're accelerated, right? I was teaching online years and years ago, but that wasn't necessarily the norm or the majority, and governing regulations actually haven't done a good job of keeping up with what needs to be done for effective instruction online. COVID accelerated that rapidly, 10 times what it was already happening. The impact of entrepreneurship in higher education. I'm speaking to you as someone who works for a corporation, and that corporation works to partner with and profit from the work of higher education. Okay, this is a relatively new development in, say, the last 20, 30 years that has again accelerated rapidly because of COVID. More and more colleges are contacting us because the government's giving them CARES money and they need help. They need help knowing what to do, how to get technology and how to use technology. And that's where we come in. So that's another trend. And there are other things as well. So I would encourage you to put your questions together and thinking about how you can get that long view, how you can get that historic lens for the shift or shifts that are happening in higher education. Now, there's nowhere for you to turn in your questions to me. If you want, email them to me and I will give you some guidance or thoughts about what your questions are. Okay. Then the questions will be submitted. I think it's week 6 that your interview is actually due. So you should be thinking about who you're going to interview in the next few weeks. I can tell you there are a lot of great leaders at St. Peter's alone, but at other institutions as well. Pick somebody you know. If you want, try to get somebody that didn't just start as a leader in higher education last week, because we want to get that historical perspective. Okay. So those are the things that I want you to focus on. I want you to focus on the change over 400 years, 300, 400 years between institutions that originated with the colonies and those institutions that still exist today. And then also to start thinking about the historical trends and shifts that we are living in the middle of right now and what the implications of those are for higher education. All right, have a great week.